actually going to get the most out of a compact 12-watt amp like the Fender Tone Master Princeton Reverb? Is it a bedroom player who wants that classic Fender sparkle without blowing the budget, or a gig-going guitarist who needs more headroom and punch? And for the everyday buyer who just wants a reliable practice rig, does the price make sense, or are there cheaper options that will do the job just as well? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw the Princeton Reverb in the lineup, I was a little skeptical. The name carries a lot of weight. Fender's historic Princeton cabinets have been a staple on stages for decades, and the Reverb tag promises that lush, springy ambience many players chase. But the Tone Master version is a solid-state combo, not a tube beast, and it's only 12 watts. That raised a few red flags for me. Will the Reverb sound authentic, or will it be a cheap digital overlay? Will the 110-inch speaker deliver enough low-end for a full-bodied tone, or will it feel thin when you crank it up? And perhaps the biggest question, is a selectable output power feature actually useful, or is it just a gimmick that complicates a simple practice amp? I decided to treat this like any other purchase where the stakes are low but the disappointment can be high. I imagined 3 typical scenarios: a college student jamming in a dorm room, a small venue guitarist needing a portable amp for quick gigs, and a home recording hobbyist who wants a clean platform for direct recording. By walking through each use case, I could see where the Tone Master shines and where it might fall short. Let's start with the dorm room player. You're probably limited by noise restrictions and you don't have a big space to fill. In that environment, a 12-watt amp can be surprisingly loud. The Princeton's 10-inch speaker, paired with its solid-state circuitry, gives you a focused mids presence that cuts through a small room without breaking the walls. The selectable output power is actually handy here. You can dial it down to a whisper-quiet practice level and still keep the tone intact, which is something many older tube amps can't do without losing their character. The built-in reverb, while not a spring tank, adds just enough ambience to make clean chords sound spacious, and when you switch to a crunch setting, the reverb still trails nicely without sounding artificial. For someone who wants that Fender vibe without a heavy cabinet, the Tone Master feels like a good compromise. Now consider a guitarist who does occasional open mic nights or house concerts. The portable size and lightweight chassis make it easy to slip into a gig bag, and the line-out with cab simulation lets you feed a PA system directly, bypassing the need to mic the speaker. That's a practical strength you don't see in a lot of low-budget combos. In a live setting, the amp's 12-watt output isn't going to dominate a club, but for small venues, coffee shops, community halls, backyard parties, it provides enough volume to be heard clearly, especially when you use a mic or the line-out. The reverb stays present even at higher volumes, which helps fill the space without the need for external effects. However, the downside becomes evident if you try to push the amp into overdrive territory for a high-gain solo. The solid-state core tends to compress early, and the distortion can become a bit harsh, lacking the warm breakup of a tube circuit. If you rely on thick, saturated leads for your style, you'll probably need a pedal to get the tone you want. The third scenario, home recording, might be the most interesting because of the line output with cab simulation. In a typical bedroom setup, you can plug the amp straight into your audio interface and capture a clean, slightly colored tone without dealing with microphone placement. The simulated cabinet response is decent for a practice amp, giving you a quick, usable track that sounds like it's coming from a real speaker. For a songwriter laying down chord progressions, that's a real time saver. On the flip side, the simulation isn't adjustable. You can't tweak the mic distance or cabinet size, so if you're after a very specific studio sound, you'll likely still need an amp sim plugin later in the mix. Also, the single 10-inch speaker doesn't provide the low-frequency depth that some acoustic guitar-friendly combos do, so if you're trying to capture a richer, rounder rhythm tone, you might feel a bit constrained. What about the overall value proposition? At its price point, the Tone Master offers a lot of flexibility that you'd normally expect from a more expensive combo. The selectable power knob, the line-out with cab simulation, and the inclusion of reverb in a solid-state platform are features that add genuine utility. For a beginner who wants a plug-and-play amp that won't surprise them with tube maintenance, the lack of tubes is actually a benefit. The downside is that the tone, while unmistakably Fender, leans toward a clean focused character. If you're hunting for gritty blues or heavy rock tones out,